delighted to be here at the Park Hyatt in Dubai, recording a conversation about residency options for high net worth individuals coming to the UAE. Delighted to be joined by Kelly and Janice from EER. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, David.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure. So we're going to discuss some visa options for high net worth clients, but also some of the other things like the real estate or schools and education. So looking forward to a great conversation. But before we get into the details, it'd be great to hear a little bit about what you do specifically at EER. Perhaps, Kelly, you could start off.
Sure. So I head up the immigration team in both the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and we provide immigration support to both employers as well as individuals.
Thank you. And Janice?
I am the head of our relocation service team, and we support individuals coming into the UAE just to have an orientation of the city, probably looking for a house or having a school tours or looking for school for the children and later on settling in. So that's our core services.
So Kelly, for a high net worth individual considering moving to the UAE, what are some of the visa options that they've got available to them?
Sure. So normally when I'm having discussions with my high net worth clients, they are specifically looking for a residence visa that will give them self-sponsorship. And the options that I normally recommend to them that are the most common, I would say, is the golden visa as well as the retirement visa. Both of these are long-term visa categories. The golden visa being a 10-year residency, whereas the retirement visa being a 5-year residency. Both of these visa types have different categories under them.
So on the golden visa then, perhaps you could spell out in a little bit more detail what are the requirements of that visa?
Sure. So golden visa specifically has quite a number of different categories. I'm not going to go into too much details about all the categories, but normally when dealing with a high net worth, they are specifically looking for something that involves an investment into the country. So the two most common investment categories is the property investment category and then the fixed deposit investment category. So when you're considering the different requirements, it would depend on which category that they're looking at. Would you like me to go into the details of each of them separately?
Yeah, I mean, on the property side, is it a property they can reside in that's just above a certain value? Or perhaps you could explain a little bit more about the property side.
Sure. So it actually really depends on the clients. I have quite a number of clients that purchase property as investment for the sole purpose of being able to obtain the golden visa. And then I also have clients that purchase the property because they'll actually be residing in the property. So although your property will be rented to a tenant, because you are the owner, you can still qualify for the golden visa.
And is selecting and finding and acquiring that property also a challenge, particularly if they're coming from abroad, don't know the market so much? I mean, how do you find clients find and select the property for these purposes?
Well, this I'm actually going to hand over to Janice because most of the clients would like a bit of an introduction into the UAE. So,
how do you help clients in the property side, Janice?
Yeah, actually, prior to answering that, David, Kelly and I work a lot so closely with high net worth individuals that are coming in because we work together on finding the property and helping them settle in. And so then for their strategies in coming in and looking for a property, a lot of clients come in here to do a little bit of preview of the neighborhood, of the city, and of the area, so that probably they can understand what kind of investment they are looking for, and they actually go to rent 6 months or 1 year first, so that they can understand the location and what kind of property they're actually looking.
So getting on the ground is important, isn't it, to start to understand where you might invest?
It is very important. Whereas there are other clients who would be coming and traveling back and forth to the UAE just to do an orientation, sometimes with our team, and just to understand already what is happening in the market, and then they come to buy immediately before they come and move in. So those are two strategies that we've seen a lot of our clients do.
And in terms of the styles of property you see, I mean, many people obviously beforehand might know about the skyscrapers in Dubai, the apartments, but, you know, there's a wide range of properties available. What kind of difference in styles do you see?
There's a lot of actually options that are available in Dubai, from apartments to villas to townhouses. And a lot of our clients also differ in preferences. Say if you have children, you would want to go in villas where you have a bigger apartment sizes or housing sizes, whereas in apartments you can go only up to 3 bedroom, for example. So depending also on the family size and also the location probably of the school of the children. So all properties in Dubai are like spread out where you have a lot of options depending on each location really. We have retirees who go for combination also of apartments and villas, depending if they have dependents coming with them. A lot of villas are also located nearby schools. So it's very important to look at those factors when coming in and do those decisions.
Thank you. And so for those on the Golden Visa going down this property route, what are some of the conditions that are linked to the property purchase? How does it affect the visa?
Sure. So there's actually recently been quite a number of amendments to the Property Golden Visa and the requirements to qualify. One of them is that previously, it's important to note that in order to qualify for a Golden Visa under your property, the property should be valued at 2 million dirhams or more, and that is per individual. So if you are two friends purchasing a property that both want to qualify for the Golden Visa, your property would need to be valued at 4 million dirhams or more, and each person's individual contribution should be valued at the 2 million. So that's the first thing to note. Secondly, which is the biggest amendment, is that previously your investment of 2 million should already be paid towards the property. Whereas this year we noticed that they have now made it a little bit easier or eased on the rules, where as long as the property is valued at 2 million, you will qualify even if the investment is only the 20 or 30% down payment. Another important item to note is that previously the property had to already be handed over to qualify, whereas now off-plan properties will be accepted. Normally they will gauge on how far along the construction of the property is, whether or not the visa will be granted. If we're specifically looking at Dubai, the Dubai Golden Visa, the property Golden Visa is processed through the Dubai Land Department. So it is us logging into the Dubai Land Department portal and doing an eligibility test on the off-plan properties to see if the individual will be accepted or not.
In terms of the amount of time that an individual has to spend in the UAE as part of the visa process, what are the constraints there?
I'm glad you asked, because it is important for an individual applying for a Golden Visa to note that they must be inside the country for us to submit the visa application. And it is required for them to remain inside the country until the Golden Visa has been issued before they're free to travel again. In terms of processing time, this can vary depending on the biometrics. In order to do your biometrics registration to get the Emirates ID, we rely on the appointment date that is provided to us by the authorities. Now, depending on how many applications are with the authorities will dictate how long the waiting period is to attain to the appointment. So it could be anything from 10 to 15 days or anything from 10 to 20 days to complete all the formalities.
And how much preparation do you recommend in advance? You know, when people are thinking about this, and they're in their home country, what sort of timescales do you work to be well prepared? Obviously, more time is always better generally when thinking about these things, but what do you find practically is a good length of time to plan this kind of move?
Sure. So if we're specifically looking at the property Golden Visa client, most of the time when I'm speaking to a client that is looking at relocating, they will first enter the country, work with our relocation team to get more familiar with where they would like to live. Then they would search for a property based in this area. As you know, a property application and purchase can take some time. Once the title deed has been issued, this is normally when we're able to apply for the visa. So depending on the client and how much time they can spend in the country, normally they'll come in first, do the orientation, find their property, travel back to their home country, and once the purchase has gone through and we have the title deed to actually submit the Golden Visa application, they will then return and then we'll initiate the process.
Do you also, Janice, do some viewings by mobile and things like that? Are you often working with people who aren't yet fully resident in the country and are looking at making that step as part of the property search process?
Yes, definitely, David. We do a lot of virtual discussions and meetings with them just to give them an idea of what they can see and what are available in the market, because right now the market is really very fast and very active. You may be looking at a property today and you make a decision a week after and it's already rented out or bought in the market. So that's how fast the market is. So it's very important to do planning while you are still back at your home country, have a discussion with local experts, and start discussing about requirements. And you can prepare alongside that while making a decision of which area you want to go. And then you plan your travel to come and do 1 or 2 days to get to know the area and get to know the neighborhood. And then you can have a list of options of properties for you to, choose from.
So how long can a high net worth investor going through this route be outside of the country?
Sure. So once the golden visa has been issued, actually one of the benefits of obtaining a property golden visa, especially through the Dubai Land Department, is that there is no restriction with how long you can be outside the country in order to keep the visa active. Now, we know rules and regulations are forever changing in the UAE, but as of today, the Dubai Land Department does not actually require the property golden visa holder to enter the country once every 12 months to keep the visa active, as we know it is for other golden visa categories.
So it offers some flexibility there.
Correct, yes.
And then talk to us about the fixed deposit side.
Sure. So the fixed deposit golden visa category is actually the most common one chosen from my high net worth clients. Just to touch a little bit on the requirements of this golden visa category, is that similarly to the property golden visa, the requirement is an investment of 2 million dirhams. This investment is through a fixed deposit with a local bank in the UAE. That money is secured for a period of 2 years in order to qualify for the golden visa. Now, a lot of my clients and a lot of people don't know this, but after that initial 2-year fixed deposit, you are actually free to remove the funds, and the golden visa will remain active for the full duration of the 10-year visa. And I would just like to touch on this is when you compare the fixed deposit to the property golden visa. The property golden visa is always linked to your property. So should you decide to sell your property, you actually only have a grace period of 30 to 60 days to link a new property to your visa for the visa to remain active, else it will be cancelled. Whereas the fixed deposit gives you that little bit of extra flexibility that after the 2 years, you can remove your funds and perhaps use that investment elsewhere.
And what's the long-term picture for the golden visa holder? Like, what's the term and what happens at the end of that term?
Yes. So a lot of my clients do ask me this, and although golden visa is a recently newish introduced category, we do not know exactly yet what will happen after those 10 years. But my assumption would be that whatever the qualifying criteria is at that point of time, the applicant would need to meet again in order to renew the visa.
And Janice, I mean, imagine a lot of golden visa applicants are coming with family, and we know that obviously schooling is a major consideration for anyone relocating. I mean, how do you help on the schooling side if they can work out the visa options? They're looking at the move. What sort of things are they thinking about in terms of education, schooling?
This is actually a very important question, David, because individuals or families have to plan schooling first before anything else. They really have to come here to see if there are schools that would match their children's, level of education. But quite honestly, in Dubai, you have like 200, or in the UAE itself, you have 200 plus international schools that you can choose from. And you have IB curriculum, British curriculum, and American curriculum available. So planning is important because you want to make sure that you have a slot for your children before you even have to decide to come and buy a property or do an investment and come here and reside. And it's, of course, you don't want to leave your children behind. So it's very important that schooling should be the first topic to really plan at. And those are the things that we even start to discuss with our clients from the start of their planning before we even talk about properties.
What's the timing of the school year? Is it a September start through to the summer? I mean, are there times of year that people can access sort of the school calendar? What do you find in terms of the timing of the move versus the school year?
Yeah, so in Dubai, generally school starts at September and it ends at June. And so the planning should start as early as January or February. Now, I mean, this year, there are schools that have already opened their application at this time. We're still at November and we have schools that have already opened. So you're looking at 10 to 6 months of preparation for you to get settled in here for your family, at least for school, and you have that enough time as well to go and look for properties and travel here and there throughout that period.
And for families coming from Europe, are there sort of German schools, French, Italian? I mean, what kind of different cultural styles are catered for in terms of within the education system?
There is definitely a lot of options for any kind of curriculum that you're looking for in Dubai. And three of the most popular ones are British curriculum, IB curriculum, and American curriculum. There are also other, maybe 100 plus international schools that's available out here with German, French, and the other curriculums. Even other nationalities would have their own international schools here, like India or Philippines or Pakistan, for example. You have that. It's just really a matter of planning ahead and making sure that you get that application in.
Because you don't want a terrible school run, do you? So where you buy your property, if you've got your school, you need a logic to the whole plan, don't you?
Definitely. And these two go together because you want to get the most out of like the proximity of the school and your house. I mean, if you found a nice school and there's no nice property around that, you might have to you might have to at least look for another property that's second best to your option. So you really want to plan ahead earlier than what you think you should be doing.
And Kelly, I mean, perhaps you could talk to us about the retirement visa and the visa options there.
Sure. So similarly to the golden visa, the retirement visa has different categories. The three different categories, two of them being investment, so fixed deposit investment, property investment, and then there's a third category that we refer to as the income category. So this is for retirees that have an income coming in every month, whether it be from your pension fund or properties that you own and you're receiving rentals. You can then also qualify. The most important criteria is that you must, of course, be 55 years old or older to qualify. And as I mentioned earlier, golden visa being 10 years and retirement visa being 5 years, half the visa validity would mean half the investment. So when you're looking at the property, all the same criteria applies. The only difference is your property should be valued at 1 million dirhams or more. When you are looking at the fixed deposit is for 1 million dirhams or more. The only other difference is that the deposit is for a 3-year fixed period opposed to the 2-year fixed period.
Yeah. And where have you seen the take-up for the retirement visa? Because it's a relatively new option. Are you seeing anything there in terms of the type of person who's going for that visa on retirement?
Sure. So very good question. And I must say that the retirement visa has actually become extremely popular, I would say, since around October last year. We do numerous applications every month. Majority of the individuals that are applying are coming either from Europe or from the UK. And I would say quite a fair amount of them still have children in school, and ranging between the ages of 55 and 65 years old. And most of them actually opting for the fixed deposit investment route. And I think one of the reasons for this could potentially be that after that 3 years, you can remove your funds, possibly use it to purchase a property, and your visa still remain active.
Okay, and Janice, I mean, for retirement visa clients, older clients, that medical provision is something that people are also a bit more focused on. Perhaps you could tell us how you help or work with clients to make sure that they've got the proper healthcare in place, because it's a big consideration.
Yes, and that's why we always tell them, David, that Dubai has a robust healthcare and high quality medical care is always available. The thing is, it comes with a cost and it can be very expensive. So it's very important that you get your coverage. If you have your coverage, it also depends whether you have a pre-existing condition, and they are bracketed by age depending on what premium you are getting as well. So, but regardless, if you're getting your medical coverage on, you have a lot of options here with high quality and global standard medical care that you would get anywhere in any major cities in the world.
And they're generally always insurable. It's just the cost of the premium will go up. It's not going to rise or fall based on their medical profile.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Even from 80 years old and above, you can get insured here. You just have to select the right coverage for you and make sure you declare everything if you have a pre-existing condition so that you can be covered as well.
Thank you. And Kelly, what about other things that you might help with? I mean, things like jumping in the car and driving, or things that when you make a relocation, you've got lots of other things also to think about. How do you see this coming through in practice?
Sure. So this question is more along the lines for Janice, but I would like to add that, normally when I have a client that reaches out to me, they would like to relocate to the UAE, and we're having a bit of a discussion of the order of events and how EER can assist. We do provide a very hands-on, hand-holding VIP experience for our clients. And a part of that, if you are, let's take a look at the fixed deposit category, whether it be golden visa or retirement visa. EER will assist with everything from the beginning, setting up the appointment with the banker. So the banker, as well as your designated EER account manager, will meet the client at their accommodation to do the opening of the bank account. We will liaise with the banker to ensure that the bank account is opened very swiftly. We liaise with the banker to obtain the required Arabic letter that is necessary to apply for the golden visa. We do collection and drop-off to all appointments. The fixed deposit category requires an in-person verification. So our PRO will collect you from your hotel, take you to immigration to do the appointment. We then also assist with collection and drop-off to your medical test. This will consist of your blood work as well as the x-ray. We then also do the assistance with the biometrics, all the way until the visa and the Emirates ID is delivered. If the client has any dependents to sponsor, this is also very important and what is discussed on the initial call, because to sponsor dependents, there are requirements such as proof of relationship. This is done through attested documents. So if you're sponsoring a spouse, you would need a marriage certificate as proof of your marriage, and then birth certificates for your children. Now, attestation, the processing timelines can be anything from 2 weeks all the way up to 12 weeks, depending on the country. Attestation is quite common in the Middle East. This is when the authorities rely on the UAE embassy in the country where the certificate was issued to validate the document. It is then sent back to the UAE where the local Ministry of Foreign Affairs will stamp the document, and we then legally translate it into Arabic. So this is normally the first thing that we work on before we even start the actual visa application. Then once the primary member has obtained their original Emirates ID, this is when we can now start the dependent visa process.
What about pets? Do pets come up? Do people want to bring their cat or dog, their treasured possessions and pets? What do you see on that?
They do. And normally when I get asked this question, I always refer my clients to Janice.
Janice, please.
Yes, of course. I mean, we deal a lot with individuals and families who come with pets. And definitely we have a lot of partners from different parts of the world and also in the UAE that help with the pet transport. So we've shipped different kinds. We've shipped cats and dogs and all that. So we do extend that support to them. And like Kelly mentioned, we do provide like a VIP package because for high net worth individuals, we do have an understanding of their needs as a family, uprooting them from their home country and then coming into Dubai. So that starts with one, visa, your immigration, and second would be your entire family, whether you have pets, whether you have even furniture that you have to
all the
ship,
logistics
and everything else. So we give them that package to help them. So we do help them with that. And when they come here and have settled in their property, what happens next? So then they might want to hire some house staff or drivers, or maybe purchase like a vehicle, or they just want to do renting and all that. So we provide all this information, and it's a package that we provide because, going through and understanding all this, it may take months for them to do that. But we do have that package to just give them like a checklist that this is probably what you need and this is probably where we can help you. So we have that much.
So for any high net worth clients thinking about relocating to UAE, what's your top tip, Kelly, to close off this interview?
Sure. So if you're looking at relocating to the UAE, I highly recommend that you reach out to me directly. I would love to have a discussion with anyone that's interested. go over the advantages and the disadvantages between both the fixed deposit and the property golden visa for the individual to make the choice that's best suited towards them.
Fantastic. And Janice, what's your top tip for any relocators out there thinking about coming to the UAE?
Everything that we've been talking about is really planning ahead, David, and we want to make sure that if anyone is thinking about coming into the UAE, speak to a local expert and have someone tell you all the timelines and make sure that you've got all your requirements ready before you even start any process.
Fantastic. Well, look, great to talk to you and look forward to sharing this interview.
Awesome. Thank you so much.